Yo, what's up, everybody? This is not the big comfy couch, but this is the P3 podcast.
The only podcast that is implementing pathways, giving perspectives, so you can reach your purpose.
That's right. And I'm your host, Beej, joined by my co-host,
HB, man.
And we are here bringing the heat today. When I tell you P3 is on the way up, it is on the way up because we are about to sit back, relax, and learn from one of the OG GOATs, the guys who was in the game before the game even became the game. We are joined by, you know what? I'm going to let you go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead.
By the immaculate, the doggone, the OG, the GOAT, my boy, the CEO, Front Page Agency, man. Aton Williams, man. We in the building, man. Thank you for coming on, my boy.
Yo, thank you so much for seeing us.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
For sure, man. How you living? How everything been going for you?
Everything's blessed, you know. No complaints on my end.
For sure, everything good.
Everything is good.
My brother.
Yeah, sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, man.
Sunshine and rainbows. I dig it. So before we even get into like the content or anything like that, I feel like the people that are watching need to know exactly what your background is and why it is that P3 sought you out in the first place. So can you just like enlighten us? Because we had a conversation like off camera. But for the sake of the people that are watching on camera, can you just like enlighten us? What is your background exactly?
Yeah. So, me, Aton Williams, 28 years of age, born in DC, raised in Atlanta.
You was born in DC?
Yeah, I was born in DC.
What? Stop playing. Where in DC?
I was raised in Maryland, Silver Spring.
Come on. That's where I'm from.
Oh, for real?
Yes, I was right there. Prince George's County.
Yeah,
come on. Oh, my goodness. All right, y'all. I'm sweating out of excitement. I'm sorry. I'm sweating out of excitement.
Small world.
Wow. That's crazy.
For sure, So, yeah, I was raised in Atlanta for most of my life, and my background is a little bit in everything. I'm going to be honest with you. I started on the entrepreneurial pathway at a very young age, started as a YouTuber, worked in everything from multimedia, film, photography, videography, little bit of editing, a little bit of acting and modeling. But on a more serious note, I think full-fledged, I dived into the marketing game at a very young age, So marketing and is really the passion. That's a little bit of my background. Currently run one of the largest marketing firms out here in Atlanta, Georgia. Representing a multitude of clients, everything from small business owners to the nonprofit sector, all the way to your Fortune 500 companies as well. So that's a little bit of my background, just a marketing genius, if you want to call it that.
Big baller, you know what I'm saying?
This
like
man,
BBB, like LeVar Ball, big baller, you know what I'm saying?
Big baller brand, but better,
This man said a little bit. I heard this man list an entire like catalog of things that I feel like I barely scratched the surface in as a creator myself. This man, hold on, let me see if I can remember some of these things. He said acting, model. You said modeling?
Yeah, that's modeling.
I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. Modeling. You said videography, photography, YouTubing, vlogging, fashion.
Oh, I didn't even mention the fashion.
Fashion. That was off camera. I'm sorry. He said it off camera, but it's still fashion. Oh gosh. Okay. So I don't even know where to begin with this interview. Like, how?
So yeah, like just to start off a little bit. So you said you started off on YouTube first, right?
Yeah, that was my main start.
Anyway, so what age did you say you started YouTube?
14.
Started at 14,
so
people. 14.
14-year-old starting YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Like, what were you thinking? What made you start YouTube? Like, what got you into YouTube?
Okay, so to make a long story short, I was exposed to technology at a young age. I believe like just my generation in general, I'm a 90s baby, just to kind of get some clarity.
Lit.
Even in elementary school, I remember we had like the Macintosh computer, the big back, the humpback whale computer, and it had the Apple, like the word
logo,
game, like the word game and everything.
Yeah.
Like just OG, and I got exposed to technology at a young age, and I remember like my father used to like travel to all types of places around the world, and he used to come back with the camcorder or photos or something like that. And that kind of got me into the videography because I would always pick up his camera and just film around the house or whatever,
Yeah.
So that kind of got me exposed to that. And then one day I just remember as I was getting a little bit older, I was like, you know what, Dad, I want a computer.
Yeah.
So, he had this bright idea to come home with a bunch of computer parts. And he was like, son, there goes your computer. So
Father.
Long story short, shouts out to my dad, though. I didn't understand the lesson there, but it really taught a big sense of like delayed gratification and working towards something and creating something and building something for yourself, So when I got through building the computer, which, took some time, to figure out how to do. But once I figured out how to do it, naturally, once I got plugged into the internet, DSL back in the day, you know.
Oh, DSL. Have mercy.
Yeah, you know, like I could be speaking a foreign language for some of your viewers, you know. Maybe they don't even know what dialogue is.
No. Is that like the blue cord in the background?
Yeah, it's like
that's the Ethernet. But no, like phone cord. Like if you were on the internet, you could not be on the phone.
Yeah,
like you could not be on a landline.
The internet's cut off, you're done. So
goodness.
Yeah, so like I just remember when I did get plugged into the internet finally, and I was a child, you know, and one of the first things I was doing was got online, and it was like, you know, AOL and your Yahoos and Bings and just the old school search engines. And I remember Ask Jeeves, and I was like, how to build a computer.
This man is speaking to me right now.
I'm like,
this
how
man
to build
is speaking to me.
And the ridiculous thing was that nothing really came up. And then as time went on, I found this thing called YouTube, you know? And when I stumbled upon YouTube, the only thing that was really on it was like news and current events, or, you know, just it was just like a news platform at first. It was nothing really on it. So yeah, I kind of got on YouTube for the sense of like, I figured out how to build a computer. So I was like, why not make videos on how to build stuff and how to do stuff? So my first YouTube channel was an IT channel. I taught people everything from computers to software, how to use like Photoshop and Final Cut Pro and
I was going to ask you
back in the day, like just like a lot of old software and stuff. I used to just do how-to videos back in the day. That's how I got my start at YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. So like, was that the only content that you pretty much like shot whenever you started off on your YouTube journey?
When I first got started with YouTube, it was very much how-to on an IT basis. I remember I did a partnership with this brand or business called Lockers back in the day.
This man was doing partnerships.
Where they used to give like just many different things, like, you know, headphones and whatever. Yeah. And I ended up getting like a little deal with Logitech, and I was doing some product reviews. And then, it just kind of led from there, you know. Once I got exposed to brand deals, it was game over.
So you built your computer yourself.
Yeah.
Then went to YouTube, learn how to build a computer,
type more efficient.
But they didn't have a video on how to build a computer, so I had to make the video on how to build the computer.
That's hard. That's crazy.
But I was like 14 years old. Like I said, I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like I was young.
Do you know what I was doing at 14 years old?
I don't know. That's crazy.
You were over here doing what we're trying to do now. At 14. At 14. And you was probably killing it because you was the first of your kind, sir.
Yeah.
What was your subscriber and viewership like?
So I'm gonna be honest. The most subscribers I had on my first channel was probably a little over 5,000 when I was younger. And it was getting hundreds of thousands of views as well at that time. And my second channel, because I did end up later on in life created a fashion channel. My second channel is currently at like 2,000 something subscribers. I only posted on that for a couple of years and I stopped. Yeah. But it did have a couple thousand subscribers, did get a couple partnerships and sponsorships from that channel. But I'd say if we were to equate that in today's terms, like what 5,000 subscribers 14 years ago versus now, like what it would have been, what it would be now, who knows?
Totally different ballgame. Because like back then, internet wasn't really like a big thing.
A lot of people didn't have access to the internet.
That's true.
They did public libraries in schools, and it was limited, you know, and you wasn't on there going on YouTube. That wasn't the thing. Yeah. So
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I was in high school, I went on YouTube, but it was primarily to like look at like drumline videos and things. But that's what you were on there with purpose. I was on there out of boredom. Like I didn't post anything, and I'm still speechless because everything that you're saying to me is like gut punches and chin checks, and it's like. Yeah, I only had like 5,000. It's, you know, it's not really, and I got like maybe a couple 100,000 views here and there. I'm like, do you know what I would do with my life if I could just have one video that just touched that many people's lives, whether it was positive or negative.
The thing is, this video is going to do it. You know, you get this part of manifestation. You know, we're going to touch millions of people with this. You know, like the content's going to be crazy. Just stay tuned. You know,
100%.
I don't know what platform this man is on, but follow him on social media somewhere, somebody's YouTube. Are you still like active on YouTube?
I'm not active on YouTube.
I want you to be really bad.
I'm not active on not a lot of social media platforms. I have an Instagram, but I don't post.
Are you still as active as you used to be on YouTube with your social media now?
No, not at all. You know, like I actually don't do anything on social media these days. It's just not my space anymore. You know?
So tell me, like, You never do like even like guidance for other people that's trying to get into that realm or whatever?
Like consultation?
Yeah. I definitely consult for a lot of different people and do a lot of different things behind the scenes, you know. But for me personally, like I haven't been focused on growing my personal brand versus the companies that I own or partner in versus growing those brands. Yeah. If that makes sense, you know?
Okay.
So if you were to like, let's just say hypothetically, if you were to like break out of retirement, for lack of a better choice of words, where exactly would you want to start? Where can you see yourself starting?
If I were to like, when you say break out of retirement, you mean like stop everything that I'm doing?
No. I mean like if you were to just like get back into the swing of like being on social media. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to get back in the social media space, like what would I do?
Yeah.
That's a great question. It's like, I'm gonna be honest, like the type of guy I am, I'm probably just gonna follow the formula. You know, like I feel like I feel like the cheat code in life is to follow successful people that's already done like what you're looking to do. So I would find the niche market that I can see myself being in per se. Once I find that niche market, I then would apply the exact same actions that person's doing, just like way better. And like way sexier, and it doesn't really matter like who you are. I'm probably just gonna like obliterate you, competition wise. So that's the way I look at it. You know, is if I got into it, to be specific, I probably do what these gurus are doing right now. You know, I probably would make like a course or like an online school or something like that. But like I would just do it so much better, than everybody, and like actually be legit.
Right.
Like provide real value to people. And I feel like that alone is, I feel like that alone would be the main thing that I do if I were to get back on social media.
Because that's the other part about that. Because, you know, whenever you're on, let's just use Instagram. Whenever you're on Instagram, you're looking at stories, and then you have those ads that come up in between you looking at like your friends' stories, things like that. And it's like, how did I grow my business to be a 6-figure business? And if you follow these steps and you join my course, this is how I do it. And then like you look at the promos for it, and it's like a 6-minute long video on, well, I used to be a really unsuccessful person, and I used to do all these fads, and I used to do all these trends. And then I finally stumbled upon the perfect formula to be able to get to the level that I'm at now. And it gets to the end of the video. It's like, if you sign up for my class, you'll be able to get, it was like, you spent 6 minutes lying to my face about, 100%. It's like very frustrating.
And that would be the opposite approach.
Yes.
Think, you know, but.
So I did want to ask you, so we're talking about 14-year-old Aton starting YouTube, starting everything like that. So who actually is Aton? Like how would you describe yourself?
I would say that Aton is a very unique human being, you know, a very wise individual, someone of good character and good values and good morals, you know, provider, protector. A lot of things, you know, a lot of positive attributes, to say the least, is who Aton Williams actually is, you know. And I think that, that's just who I am, you know, depending on who you are and what time and place you meet me will probably determine who I am towards you, though.
I agree.
That's a good point. Time and place is everything these days. You're not going to get happy me when I'm not feeling good. You're not going to get that. I'm always
feeling good, though. That's the thing. I always feel good.
You never catch your time. You're never in a bad mood. That's good.
I will say I'm learning this because I literally just met the man today. And I'm seeing this. It's like, you don't have to have like the brightest of smiles to be in a good mood. It's something that you feel.
Always positive. 100% of the time, 100% of the day. Things happen, but that's the game. You know?
So tell me this. All right, so Aton, 14-year-old, start YouTube. Now, so how many years did you do YouTube, and what made you give it up and try to like find a different avenue and everything?
I was doing YouTube, so 6, 7 years, maybe 8 years, you know? 6, 7, maybe 8.
Like the 2021 range now. I guess that my math is right. I think that's right.
Yeah, so like I stopped probably like
Yeah.
I stopped pre COVID,
Okay.
like being active in YouTube,
Okay.
you know, pre-COVID. So honestly, man, it's hard to say. It's like my time frames. I'm so bad on that. You know, I'm gonna be totally honest.
Time frames.
My timelines are like horrible.
They ain't got they don't have to be exact. I'm just giving a rough range. But anyway, like so you did. So after what made you say, okay, I want to try something different from YouTube, find some different avenue? Like what's it?
Well,
like
what it is
that
no. So what it is that I really wanted to start a company. I really wanted to start a business, and I felt like YouTube is a business. I don't want to take anything away from a YouTuber, you know, if that's your profession. But for me, I didn't want YouTuber to be my profession. I felt like I was bigger than that and that there is so much more available in the world. I feel like YouTube can be an outlet I use, a platform I use, and a tool that I have access to. But I didn't want that to define me. And I felt like I got stuck in a YouTube phase at one point where I was just a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And that was very limiting in my opinion. So I had to just cold turkey, you know, just
cold turkey. If I had what it is that you had in terms of stats and analytics, that would probably be one of the hardest things I think I'd ever be able to do is just quit cold turkey. It's like, we can't wait to see the next video is coming from. Where is it?
Yeah.
Where's that video?
That doesn't exist. It didn't also shut the channels down too, like, you know.
So wait, are the channels still up?
No, private.
Oh, wow.
And I can show you off camera like some
okay,
stuff. Yeah, but for the most part, though, everything's private. Everything's shut down. So
archived his channel and all of his subscribers.
Honestly, I think that goes back into what we were talking about earlier off camera. You know, it's my visionary. You know what I'm saying? You seeing the big picture.
100%.
You so like a lot of people, they're happy with being in that box. But you was like, okay, I like the box. The box is cool. So, you know what I'm saying? But I want to be in the stadium. You know what I'm saying? I want to be outside of the stadium.
Bigger than that,
I
you
want to
know.
be outside there, you know what I'm saying?
You know, I'm a drone or a private jet in the air looking down on everything, you know.
Exactly.
Like,
I dig it.
Empire, you know?
Exactly. Outside the box thinking.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What is like the motivation behind your I'm trying to find the right way to ask the question, but it's like, what is the motivation behind your achievement? Like you trying to achieve, what is your motivation for that?
Because
my thinking is you're starting all this from scratch.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Your business and everything. And so when you're starting new businesses, obviously there's going to be all of the bumps in the road and the road is not going to be linear. And there might be a mountain that the road is built on top of and you can't go through it. You got to go over it. And so it's just like, there were times when you're probably going to want to quit, which that's a follow-up question. But what was the motivation behind wanting to start your own and then maintaining that?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I've done the whole, like, or let me not say I've done, but I've attempted the 9-to-5 journey. I've attempted the college route. I've attempted the pleasing the parents. I've attempted to make everybody else happy. And the only thing that really made me happy was like achieving goals, you know, like when I put my mind to something and say, I'm going to do this, just being able to do that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And it's like self-fulfillment, you know? So that's always been the motivation. It's been self-motivation, to be honest, you know, like I've done a lot of things to a point and stopped doing those things. But I feel like my life for me, that's one thing that I'm going to keep doing for me is exceeding my goals and achieving new goals and moving to bigger and better kind of thing. So yeah, I think self-motivation is the real motivation.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Has there ever been a moment where you were like on this journey and you were so overwhelmed that you felt like you wanted to quit? Like you just wanted to quote unquote quit cold turkey like YouTube?
I think naturally in life, you know, there's going to be bumps, challenges, trials, tribulations, etc., things that you go through that's going to make you want to quit per se. But for me, no, there's never been anything that's like that made me really feel like, oh, I want to quit or stop doing this kind of thing, you know, because to say I'm going to quit doing this, playing this game that I'm playing the game of my life, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm very big into that. I'm playing my life right now. So how can I quit on my life?
Yeah.
It's like I might as well not be living if that was the case, you know? So the most important thing to me is just making sure that I execute my goals and achieve the things that I want to achieve all the time. And there's no room for quitting, and there's no room for error or missteps or anything. Everything has to be calculated and strategic, and thinking about the next steps and how does this affect the next thing, and how does this affect 5 years from now, and what do those things look like? And I'm constantly playing the game in my head, no different than you would play a game of chess or, Monopoly or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
Wow.
That's big talk, for real. So tell me this.
I'm learning so much today.
You got a ton, got YouTube, going to the, how did you get into the business realm? And how did this get into okay, you say you want to be a business, you want to have your own business and run your own business. How did you come upon this system there?
Yeah, I want to know how you figured out what your business was going to be.
Yeah.
So for me, entrepreneurship started at a very young age.
Yeah.
Back in the day of selling candy, Yeah. And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that. Buying some candy at your local Kroger or whatever it is, your local grocery store, selling it for a little bit more, making some money, right? So that's how I started. I did the whole fundraising before as a kid, went door to door and sold, cookie dough and magazines or whatever it may be, just various different things. All of those things kind of started the knack for wanting to build a business from a very early age.
Yeah.
Just the sense of how quickly you can make a profit off of something if you identify a solution to a problem, you know?
Yeah.
I learned that. I learned that if you could provide convenience, I learned that if you could provide information, AKA if you can bring value to somebody, then people will want that, So I just unlocked the mindset for entrepreneurship at a young age. And that's kind of how everything that I'm doing today is honestly coming full circle into fruition, and running a nice sized company and building it and growing it and partnering with other people in their companies and then investing in other companies even, That's kind of how that started, was just from a young kid selling that candy.
So how did you know that what it is that you're doing here, right now with your current business, this, how did you know that this is what you wanted to do? Because when you're starting your business, you could do a business in anything.
Yeah. But
it's because you could have done a business in computer engineering. Yeah. So how did you know?
I think the pathway that I took, it all comes down to the big picture goal, right? So for me, I always like to think about the long term, the long vision, the end goal, the end result, and then I work backwards, you know? So I always think about what do I want in the end? Well, in the end, I want to be a billionaire, okay? So if I want to be a billionaire, I have to at least generate hundreds of millions before I can become a billionaire. If I got to get hundreds of millions, I got to generate tens of millions. In order to get tens of millions, I need millions. In order to get millions, I need hundreds of thousands, right? And trickle it all the way down. And that's just the monetary aspect. But then think about the things you need to own and the people you need to have in place and what comes with that, right? How many employees did some of these large companies, not to name drop anybody, but some of these large companies just drop 10,000 employees in a day. Yeah. You got companies dropping tens of thousands of employees, and where some people read the media and go oh my God, they just dropped 10,000 employees, they're a bad company. I look at it they had 10,000 employees that they could
just get rid of.
They could just readily get rid of.
Yeah.
And they probably have another X amount of tens of thousands readily available to what do you mean? Yeah. That's amazing. They provided so much opportunity. It's huge.
The power of perspective, people.
Yeah. So for me, I want that. Yeah. I want that. I want to be a billionaire, and I know how to get it. It comes with what we like to say human capital, right? So everybody knows that in the service-based industry that you need people to cater to certain services. When I get my car washed, I'd rather somebody hand wash my car and vacuum it out versus just going through the motor machine or whatever it is, right? Because I know that it's going to be more detail-oriented and somebody's going to care. And respectfully for that service, I tip them very well as well. Not only do I pay for the car wash, but then I also give the person cleaning my car additional funds as well, right? Right. So when you're running any type of a service-based business or whatever the case is, you got to think about if you could treat your employees well, how many employees can you have and how many jobs can they do per day? And that's more income for the business and that's more growth.
Right.
So how I knew the business that I was doing today is because we represent some of the largest businesses in the world, right? I get a chance to be a outsourced marketing firm for some of the largest companies in the world. And since I do that, since I'm outsourced, I'm the nobody. I'm the behind the scenes guy. You don't have to know about me.
Yes.
Explain to some people,
You know?
like, some people that might not know what outsourcing is.
So outsourcing essentially is when you just take like you have a need, a demand, or whatever it may be, and you don't have the resources or skill set to reach that demand or need. You then outsource it, meaning you give that task to somebody else for them to be able to provide that service for you, as a person or a business or whatever it may be, right? So me, Front Page Agency, my company, we're an outsourced marketing firm for businesses. And when you define marketing, it's just the promotion of a product or a service to create like not only brand awareness, but also to get a positive return on investment. So when you think about Front Page Agency as an outsourced marketing firm, what that means is that people, companies, entities, etc., outsource their marketing, which is their revenue. They outsource their revenue to me. Think about that.
Exactly. It's crazy.
These big companies outsource their revenue to me.
Yeah.
I generate the revenue.
Exactly. Big baller.
How do I respond to this?
Big baller.
I don't know how to respond to this. Like the questions that I had formulating in my mind, he's saying so much good right now that I can't. My brain is trying to conceive.
It gets deeper, you know?
Oh gosh, how much time do we have actually? I need to know.
I think what the biggest thing is, you know, because, you know, I've only been working here for like a month or whatever, but what I've seen is like.
Did we say that? I don't think we said that.
Yeah, I don't know if we said it yet.
I don't think we said that.
I've been working with Aton for like a month or so now. You know what I'm saying? In my month being here, I've seen my growth go from like big jumps already in this month. It's just not even just like me out there doing my physical job, but actually just as a personal development, mentally wise, thinking I learned a lot from this man just by watching him. But I think the reason why I understand that and why I have learned so much is because Aton has been in where I've been in. He's done everything I've done. So it's not like he's just telling me blind stuff not to do. He's telling me the right things and the steps to get to where I need to be at. And which is why he's in the position that he's in right now. And that's why the business, you know what I'm saying, is
growing.
Big baller.
It's growing.
And big dog, because he knows how to run the business and because he's been throughout every phase of the business. So yeah, I think that's a big deal for real.
You talking about growth. Look at Holden's outfit.
This man.
Look at Holden's outfit. I'm just saying. I didn't mean to be tangential like that, but like this man's outfit, I thought we was going to be chilling, you know, and then he comes in I thought it was Gucci for 2 seconds. I promise I did. I'm like, what kind of job is he working? How do you pay, sir? I'm about to consider switching my profession. I might not need to be where I'm at right now.
We're always hiring.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm saying you need an intern, a media person. I know how to do some things.
We need a lot of things, you know.
Okay.
We're gonna have to fill a role for everything, because the thing about when you're outsourced is that you do a lot of the heavy lifting, but it's once again outsourced to a person that can provide that task. And I'm in the business of recruitment.
Exactly.
So as much as I do marketing, I also do recruiting and staffing and training and developing, etc. Right? So there's all these other things that go into it. It's all in-house. It's all full services in one place.
I think that's a cool thing that you said, that you're doing all this, doing the recruitment, you're doing all the training and stuff. Because you got to think about this. Think about how many businesses the employees never even see the CEO. They never see the owner. You know what I'm saying? I see this guy every day. We in there grinding it day to day. Like we are like on the same, like we both came in at the same time. That's what it feel like. We here, he's interacting with us, he's with us, we grinding together, we learning, we talking about experiences that we both seeing in the field or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what you need. And that's really a big business. And that's gonna make your jumps go leaps and bounds a lot farther.
Right.
Yeah,
what would you say is like your most favorite aspect of what it is that you do now?
Hands down, the most favorite thing, the thing I enjoy the most about what I do is that I'm able to provide an opportunity to somebody, and that the information is so good that we see immediate results, you know? And that's the one thing that I enjoy the most about it, is that I can take a person that's a stranger that may have never done what I've done before, may have never seen the things I've seen or gone to places I've gone, etc., right? But I can expose them to a little bit of information, give them some training, give them some knowledge, and they apply that knowledge and information and see immediate results and growth because of that information. That's super satisfying, obviously, you know, because if it's a proven method of success, what's to stop more people from joining the success and building within the business?
Exactly.
Which is why we're always hiring, we're always growing, we're always building, because the opportunities are endless, you know? Yeah. So it's really exciting to see that every single day.
I promise this man is a genius. I don't think I've ever interviewed a genius before until today. And today,
I think what I've learned the most since I've been here too is just being like, you know, from day one, we know we had my final interview. We talked about that we had like a lot of goals that align. You know, you said something very important and good to me that stuck with me when you saying the reason why, like you asked me why did I want to join Front Page Agency and everything. You was telling me, you was like, you know, I kind of tell you my situation, what was going on right now. You said, well, it sounds like when your goals and your desires line up, you want to do something in that situation.
So your wants and your needs, you know?
Exactly.
When your wants and your needs totally align.
That's when
you know
stuff start to happen.
Exactly, that's when things start to happen. And then also when opportunity presents itself, or are you in a position to take advantage of that opportunity?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So,
and I feel like that's a place where a lot of people, if they say they want something, they say they want to do this, they say they want to do that, but when the opportunity becomes to do it, a lot of people scared to leap out on faith on that stuff. So when you said that to me, I was like, this man know what he's talking about for real. Like he know what he's talking about for real. So like,
yes,
yeah,
I'm a believer.
Like,
I promise you don't. I am right here. I am like front page, no pun intended, but like I'm right here.
But that's why it's front page, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness, again, the thoughts and the questions that are ruminating in my brain right now. Holden, say something. I don't know what to say right now.
Let's talk about your family a little bit. You know what I'm saying? What kind of family you said you came from? Your dad started you off with the computer. Computer piece. He said, "Build this." You know what I'm saying? You want a computer? Here you go. Put it together. Tell me about your family background. What kind of family you come from?
I mean, look, I put it this way. I come from a small family. Yeah. You know. You know, the last thing I want to do is say anything negative towards my family or anything like that. But it's the typical story that you hear in America, you know, like didn't have much, didn't come from it much kind of things, you know. And I think that I had a father that was very protective for all the right reasons. Back in the day when I was younger, maybe I didn't understand those reasons and fought and rebelled against them for a lot of things. And, you know, I can only apologize about those things because coming full circle later in life, understanding the dynamic of the world and how crazy it actually is, why he was overprotective, you know, not allowing me to go outside or something like that. It's like, okay, well, now it makes sense because I wouldn't want my kid to go outside either. Not now. So just understanding those different perspectives from him. But then, you know, my mother, you know, she's super sweet woman. That's like my best friend, you know. So, you know, just laugh together, joke together, good vibes all the time. I got a little brother, an older brother, and an older sister. Didn't grow up in a household with my older sister. My older brother is 4 years older, so he was off to college and did his thing. So we kind of grew up separate in a sense. And then me and my little brother, I'd like to say we're very close. You know, he actually works within my company as well. So, yeah, family dynamic, that's the main bulk of the family. You know, I got my grandparents on my mother's side, the grandparents on my father's side, rest their soul, you know, and that's just kind of how it is. Small family, tight-knit, and that's that.
So who were your influences while you were growing up? Because I mean, I feel like the paths that we take are often influenced by the relationships that we develop. And so it's like there can also be good and bad relationships. But like, what were they that helped get you to where you are right now, or that aided, I should say, that to get you to where you are?
I think I never take any relationship for granted. You know, I actually learn something from every single person that I interact with, whether it be good or bad, you know. So that's really it for the most part. You know, I'd say that every single conversation, relationship, situation has built and molded me into the person that I am today, to be honest with you. So they're all just as equally important.
That was probably the most educated general answer I've ever received, and it was great. I loved it. It was amazing.
Tell me, so like from Aton right now, 28, business owner, CEO, his own company, everything, what would you tell other people that's trying to be in your situation or other your younger self?
It's like, I don't ever want to be the person to say you can't do something, because I believe that like anything is possible. You know, I'm very optimistic in that sense, where I really feel like anything in this world is possible. So as much as I would say like you can't rush success, you can also become like a crypto millionaire overnight.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily define that as success just because you have money. So I would tell people like, don't get caught up in the money side of things, because the money will come when you truly do the right things. As much as people have 6-figure goals or millionaire goals or billionaire goals or whatever your personal goals may be on a financial aspect, you'll never actually achieve the money unless you put in the actions. So don't try to skip the steps that it takes to actually be great. You know, I tell people all the time, like I asked this in an interview, like if I were to give you the keys to a multi-million-dollar company on day one, would you feel confident enough to actually run it? Now, a lot of people out of their own cockiness just say yes, because they want the job and they feel like that's the right answer.
Right.
But that's not the right answer, because if you can run a multi-million-dollar company, you would be interviewing for a company to begin with.
Right.
Exactly.
So
exactly,
it's like the right answer is like, no, I don't feel like I can run that company right now. However, with the proper training and resources and development, then I feel like I can be groomed into the right person to be able to run it.
Right.
And I also have ambitions and aspirations to actually run that type of a business, right? So I feel like if you look at it from that perspective and you're humble enough to go through the motions and actually go through the actions and efforts, like I've been doing what I do now for 14 years.
Yeah.
Let's not skip the fact that I've been doing this for 14 years, right?
Right.
I think a lot of people come in day one and they think like a year later they're supposed to be a millionaire. It's like, relax.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That's not to say that it can't happen, because it can. We see it all the time, you know? People become wealthy, rich, whatever you want to call it, off of multiple things, you know?
I think that's because we think the way people think now is like people, and it's also with social media. It's the downside of social media. Social media,
which is why I'm off of it.
Yeah. You see A and you see Z. We talk about this, but you only see A and you see Z. You don't see
B through X or Y.
You don't see none of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why a lot of people think they want instant gratification. Because that's all we see is instant gratification.
And that's why me building the computer from scratch was so important and such a
that seed was planted.
It was such a key factor for the rest of my life. Because it showed like, although we have DoorDash and Uber Eats and, you know, Instacart, although we can get things immediately, it's also important to work for something and build something as well. You know, so I think that was always the important key. Delayed gratification is something that a lot more people need to learn. Quite frankly, you know.
We're gonna start from the Mount Rushmore question. So, who would you say are your Mount Rushmore of influences?
Yeah, so I would say, like, you know, a multitude of people, you know, like I said, depending upon what I'm trying to actually be influenced within, you know. So we have like a musical influence, you know. So I look like at like a Drake or a P. Diddy, somebody that's built like an amazing empire, Jay-Z, you know, somebody that's built an amazing empire through the music side of things, that followed their passion or whatever the case was, but then also trickled it into a multitude of businesses and became a really great entrepreneur, you know. You can look at your straight business moguls and legends. I look at like the Mark Cubans. I look at Elon Musk. I look at Jeff Bezos, you know.
I see the turtleneck thing. You got that down.
But yeah, like I follow some of the greatest companies in the world, you know, and the people that own those companies. You know, you can't forget your Warren Buffetts and your Bill Gates and stuff, you know. So those would be on the influence. And the reason why is because I like to say, like, you know, a lot of the people that I named are billionaires.
Yeah.
You know? And once again, my goal in life is to become a billionaire. So it's like, what better person to be inspired by and influenced by other than the person that you're trying to emulate, you know? So it's not to say that I'm going to go out and build the next electric car or anything like that, you know, but still to be able to touch multiple facets of companies and businesses and things of that nature.
Yeah. So you think an entrepreneur, you think an entrepreneur is born with it, or you think a person that's built is built?
So I like to say that there's this thing that's called nurture versus nature, you know? Some things in life are nurtured and some things in life are natural.
Yeah.
You know? I'm sure you've heard of like natural born talent.
Yeah.
You know? Exactly. So let me ask you a question. Like, is Beyonce an amazing singer because she was like naturally gifted with singing? Or is she an amazing singer because she went to vocal classes and groomed her talent over a period of time, over a long period of time, actually, and it was nurtured?
I think it's both and.
I say it's both.
It's both and.
But she's also
yes. I was gonna say it's because of the fact that she had that natural talent that she invested in it.
Did she have the natural talent because her genes deployed that?
Like I said, I think it was natural talent because she's a natural talent, but she had to work, but she got to work ethic to go with it though.
Right. Because I mean, natural talent will get you but so far, but it's the discipline that maintains you whenever your natural talent fails.
Are her parents or family members also within the music industry?
I'm not sure. I think her sister is.
Her sister is, but her mom was like her manager, I guess.
Okay. So then we can say the answer is yes.
Okay.
So there's a thing called exposure, right?
Yeah.
If you're exposed to something over a period of time, that's typically the pathway that people would take, right?
Facts.
Like if you were exposed to music at a young age and your father got you, you know, like a MIDI keyboard or something like that, you may naturally be into music. But if your father gave you a basketball when you were a kid, you probably are going to be more inclined to play sports, you know? So I don't play sports. I'm like 6'3", and people ask me if I play basketball. No, seriously.
That's true. This man is tall.
I'm 6'3", and people ask me if I play basketball all the time or any level of sport. And I've never played any sport a day in my life because my exposure level was more on the creative side. You know, my father was a producer, music producer, you know, my uncle works within the music industry as well. Both of them actually within the music industry. You know, I have people that were painters and photographers. So that was my exposure level since a kid.
Yeah.
So am I naturally gifted on all the things that I'm doing right now, or was it nurtured? I would say that the answer is that it's nurtured. So to answer your question, as far as somebody born like an entrepreneur or not, I think it just depends on their exposure level as a child, you know, and entrepreneurs come from so many different places. Let's be honest. 100%. You could have been raised on a cornfield, but you saw your parents hustle and sell milk and eggs to all the markets in the area. And now the next thing you know, you want to own land.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that was very much nurtured, not natural, you know? So yeah, I think entrepreneurship is very nurtured. It's not natural. So anybody could be an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Okay, so we spent like a lot of this interview talking about like the business side of things and what it is that you get out of the business. But like there's more to you, I feel like, than just the business itself. Like there has to be like an offset balance. So what are some of the things that you like to do or partake in that's outside of the business?
Yeah, I mean, outside of my main business, what I like to do outside of my main business is focus on other businesses.
Oh gosh. How did I not think?
And I don't know how you didn't see that coming, but you know.
No, I did. I was hoping to get something else.
Yeah, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just like, because like in all seriousness, I've found a creative way to produce income out of all of the things that I actually enjoy, right? So I grew up with dogs. I had
you got a dog grooming business.
No.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I breed French bulldogs. So if you're looking for exotic puppies, French bulldogs, I do have those as well, you know. But in all seriousness, though, I grew up with dogs. You know, I had a Rottweiler when I was younger, protector of the house kind of thing. I used to ride on his back like he was a horse when I was a kid. I had a pit bull boxer. And then after all the big dogs, I was like, man, when I moved into an apartment, I was like, I want a smaller dog. I kind of glazed through all the different options, your Chihuahuas, your Pomeranians and all this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, forget all the Chihuahuas.
Never mind.
But then the French bulldog came to my attention, and I fell in love.
Yeah.
So I bought my first Frenchie. A year later, I bought my second Frenchie, and I was strategic. I bought a male, and then I bought a female.
Yes.
I was like, if I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on a dog, best believe I'm going to get my money back. If the breeder sold me the dog at this price, imagine what I can do.
Exactly.
Yeah, so even the things that I enjoy, like playing with dogs, like I've found a way to make money from that, you know? So outside of business, everything is revolved around growing the empire in business.
Exactly.
This man makes money for fun. That's what I got. That's what I got from his explanation just now is he likes to make money for fun.
It's abundant mentality. You know what I'm saying? You got that mentality where what's next? What's next mentality? You gotta have that. Gotta have that mentality.
Always.
I do wonder though. With all of the businesses and things that you have done and that you're investing in and indulging in and things like that, do you ever experience burnout? And if you do, how do you deal with that?
You see the bags under my eyes?
I was trying not to like draw attention to them, but yeah.
So the thing is that like this quote unquote burnout or whatever, I just feel like burnout is cured with like a day's rest, you know? Like you can easily recover in a day if you really need to. So if I have to take one day out of the month to like sleep for like 10, 12 hours or whatever it is, and that may sound like a normal period of time for the average person to sleep. Mm-hmm. So most people sleep like 8 hours a day.
I wish.
So maybe on like a Sunday they get 10 hours or something like that if they work a traditional job, you know. But as an entrepreneur and somebody that is looking to build a big empire like me, like I don't experience burnout. I don't believe in it. It's just not part of my thought process.
Wow.
It's like I've deleted that program from my brain.
Yeah. I'm jealous.
So yeah, I learned how to survive off of like 2 to 3 hours of sleep, and that's okay. And over time, every now and again, I do need a system reboot. You know, the fans get a little hot. And you gotta blow the dust off.
Yeah.
So yeah, every now and again, I get like that one good day of sleep, knock out for a smooth day, don't bother me, and I'm recharged. So I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Well, that's definitely a unique perspective, and I value that one.
Tell me this, so giving the people game, our viewers game, it's like putting them on game. What would you say a person needs, the tools they need to be a CEO, big boss, and just to be successful in whatever they want to do? But especially in the business realm.
The tools anybody needs to be a successful entrepreneur in general, to class themselves as a CEO or boss or leader or whatever title that you want to call it. To be completely honest, there's like so many names for everything.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Doesn't make a difference what you want to call the title or whatever. However, you need to be a really selfless individual.
Yeah.
In order to really build the way that you want to build, you know. I think that in the world that we live in today, information is so readily available and people are so quick to just like do their own thing, you know, start a podcast or, start a restaurant or a food truck or, you know, get some funding because you can find that information out on TikTok these days. Like
apparently
how to get $50,000 in funding and then use that to start an Airbnb business or Amazon. So I think there's so many things that are like anybody can do anything and they don't really need someone per se. That the people that are really successful entrepreneurs are the ones that create so much value, and it's just proven that it works so well where people compare and contrast. Does it make more sense for me to follow this person's success to create my own or figure it out and potentially struggle by myself?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think if you can kind of fill that void of being super selfless, giving information, being available, like, you know, you work in my company, right? Yeah. Like I'm available.
Yeah.
It's Sunday right now. We're doing a podcast. Exactly. I make myself available. So I think as a business owner, just make yourself available. Now, as your company grows and scales and you start touching hundreds of millions of dollars and you're at a big level, well, of course, you can't expect like your Elons and your Jeffs to be at every single meeting in every single state and every single place and be that available for every single person.
Exactly.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm sure in the beginning it was overly hands-on. And I'm sure even now to this point, for the key attributes to help his company grow, he's probably very hands-on in those areas. You know?
100%.
So That's what it is. Just be available, be selfless, and just be a good person. And you can then be that person. Don't do it for the money.
Facts.
I feel like there's so many more questions that we need to ask, but we're also running out of time. We're going to have to come back. We're going to have to do a part 2 to this. You're a very busy man, and I get that. But like, I'm learning, and I'm sure Holden is learning because I mean, the man works for you.
Every day.
But like, can y'all please just listen to what he says?
Listen to the game, man.
Play this entire episode back from the beginning.
I did have one more question I did want to ask you though.
Please ask it.
Ask you, because you know P3's purpose, perspective, and pathway. We really didn't ask you what's your purpose behind all this stuff. Like what's your purpose like in the future? What do you think? What gives you purpose with doing what you do every day?
So like, I like I'll rephrase that into thinking about like what's your why. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we teach in the company. It's like identifying your why. I guess for the podcast purposes, your purpose, Mm-hmm. But like my purpose, my why in life, in order to break that down, you have to really ask yourself why to the why multiple times to get down to the true definition and answer of why you're doing something. So although I've mentioned earlier in the podcast and said it several times, I want to be a billionaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you ask, why do you want to be a billionaire? Well, I want to be a billionaire because I feel like that's a level of success that would be amazing to achieve within this lifetime. I feel like it's going to be more normalized as time goes on. Like billion is going to be the new million, so it's not going to be that deep. But for me to achieve it in my lifetime and be able to provide wealth and generational wealth for my families, that'd be great. Well, why do you want to provide generational wealth for the families? Because I didn't have it growing up. Well, why didn't you have it growing up? Well, because maybe my family wasn't allotted the same opportunities. Well, why were they not allotted the same opportunities? Well, they grew up in a different time period. So, well, now that I'm in the time period I'm in and I'm allotted those opportunities, why not take advantage?
Exactly.
of it?
Maximize that thing.
So why not maximize it and do things different? So am I satisfied with where my parents' purpose or pathway was per se? No, because they're not living the life that I want to live. So now I have a chance to kind of redefine it all for myself. And when I really break down the why all the way down to the root, it's really going to come down to the point of saying that I'm doing everything I'm doing now just to simply say that I can do it.
I like that. I was just thinking that too, right before you said that. I was like, that's really a very complex question because there's so many levels to purpose.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many aspects.
Levels and layers.
And they all should go into each other, like how you just said. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I think you broke it down great, for real.
Just to say I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get any deeper and we just stay here I feel like we could talk about this for hours. Like I feel like this conversation can keep going for hours. We just need to just put a pin right here in this moment. If y'all want him to come back, please leave it in the comments. Say we want Aton back. We want him right now, yesterday or sooner. Bring him back for part 2. And we will do our best to make it happen. I know a guy on the inside now, so he might be able to have that conversation. But seriously, yes, if you want to be found, because you said that you're not on social media.
Yeah, at CEO Aton. So at CEO Aton. That's Instagram. That's that.
Yeah,
that's the only place you can find me. And
which means if you see him anywhere else, it's not him.
Yeah.
Don't accept that friend request.
I hope y'all listen today, man. We got the GOAT up here, the young GOAT. Young, finna be a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Billionaire. Big dog. I appreciate you, man. I thank you so much for making time out your day, man. Come out here and talk to us and give these people game. I hope they take here to it. I know I am.
Listen, I was taking notes.
I'm blessed to be in the opportunity to be able to work with you every day. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it.
Absolutely. But you earn the opportunity at the end of the day, and that's what it all comes down to. It's not about me, it's about you.
Exactly. 100%.
So
100%.
Yeah, but I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Sure.
It's honor and a privilege. I promise.
Absolutely. Great conversation.
Appreciate it definitely was. You gotta get a part 2 in.
Holden, where can they find you at?
Man, you can find me on IG, man, at Baisden H1. That's BAISDEN, the letter H, and the number 1. What about you, Beej?
Man, they can find me on IG at BEEJ_LY because Beej loves you.
Yes, sir. And this is the P3 Podcast.
Wait, but where can they find the podcast?
Well, you can find the podcast on Instagram at P3_podcast.
And also, if you are a collaborator and you are motivated by what it is that was said here by this young goat himself, and you want to be able to work with P3, whether that be in marketing, whether that be in production, whether that be as an assistant to help us run things around here, you can send us an email to p3podcast1@gmail.com. Again, that is p3podcast1@gmail.com. And this is
also one more thing.
Okay.
Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Because that's important. I know I talked about the comments before, but like, make sure that you do those things. Push all the buttons and ring that bell so that you can be notified when we drop our next episode. Because this is the P3 Podcast.
Only podcast that is implementing pathways, give respect, so you can reach your purpose.
We out.
Peace
Bye.
Peace out.